Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grow Your Brand with Amanda. And today on my podcast, I have the amazing Audrey Elizabeth. Hello, Audrey.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. And we've been trying to get this in the diary for literally months. So, Audrey is a creative marketing and business mentor, and we're both Irish. What could possibly go wrong?
It's like 4 hours long.
Yeah, we'll be chatting and chatting, and I'm so thrilled to get Audrey on my podcast because the first time I encountered you was on someone else's podcast, and yeah, that is true story. And I was just like, oh wow, she's so interesting, and what you were talking about was fascinating. So, and I know some of your story, which is why this podcast is just going to be so absolutely amazing and so full of Audrey goodness, because there's nothing that you don't know about social media, marketing, and content creation. So I'm really looking forward to peeling back the layers of Audrey. So I'm so grateful you're here, Audrey.
Oh, thank you so much. I honestly just love everything I do and love getting to come into spaces like this and just share it from my lens. And before we even get into it, it's not about this is right, this is wrong. It's just we all have our own lenses. So I'm really appreciative to be here and share it from my lens.
Fantastic. Yeah, and you are one of the most creative people I know, and you always encourage other people to be creative. So I like to be creative as well. So let's just see. So we're going to begin with my three questions to get to know a little bit about your personality. So, do you have a favorite motivational song?
Do you know what? I think this is going to be the hardest question of them all because I'm the biggest music fan ever. Like I run a theatre school as well, so my whole life revolves around dance and choreography. So this one I was really like, oh, what will I choose? Like, because it does depend on the mood. But I've gone with Get on the Floor by J Lo because every time I hear it, like I am like ready for whatever's coming at me.
Yeah, I love that. And you use a lot of music in your content as well, but I love that. I love that song too. And that's very energetic and gets you up and moving. Yeah, good choice. That will go on the Spotify list that accompanies this podcast, which is designed to be motivational to get everybody sort of ready and full of creativity and moving. And do you have a motivational quote?
I do, but interestingly, literally this only happened last week. It's going to come from one of my clients, and she had said, when you trust your truth, other people will feel that too. And I was just like, it was something she had taken away from an activity we'd done. And when she said that as the takeaway, I was just like, what else do we need? Trust your truth, and other people will feel that too. And I
That's
was
so good. Did she just come out with it? Because I love this when people just speak it.
She just came out with it, like it was in our Telegram support. Like I was like, what was your so I do these creative activation sessions where we create that space and it's not just about business, about the identity of who you are and shifting any of the blocks and stuff. And we had done one of these, it was the very first time I had done this session. And in our Telegram group, I was like, I'd love to know like what you thought, what you took away from it. And that's what she took away from that moment. And it was just so like
Yeah.
magical. Yeah.
It's really profound, isn't it? And you know, you have to stop and think, actually, yeah, that is really good. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's the depth, and this is where we're gonna go. We'll be going deep. I've no doubt about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that will sit with me for a while. That one will. And I'm nosy with the books. Do you read?
I do, but I struggle. So I struggle with concentration when I'm reading, and the book that I've picked is Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King. Have you ever read it?
No, but I will. I'll add it to my list.
Good. It's such an easy read because the chapters are quite short. But it was the very, very first book I read around like transformation. It's all about the law of vibration and gratitude, but it's the still the only book that I've read where I'm like, I can resonate with every single page here. Like I can see myself, I can see why I behave that way. I can like I just resonate with every page. So good.
Oh, I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely gonna get that one. And knowing you personally, that's how you are. You just live in that kind of not I don't want to I'm not gonna say don't want to say manifestation, but you just expect these things to happen and they do.
Yeah, yeah. Like I remember someone saying that to me before. They were like, everything just lands on your lap. And I was kind of like, I wouldn't say that. I work very hard
Yes, yes.
what I have.
Yeah.
I also like know that the energy I'm putting out is the energy I'm going to receive, and I protect my energy. I protect my boundaries. It's taken a long, long time to get
Yeah.
here,
Mhm.
but I've always kind of had that though. I've always had quite a positive outlook on life, and even like coming from like shitty times. Am I allowed to swear in this
Oh,
podcast?
sure, it's my show.
From shitty times, like building up that resilience to have that, like, I know I can get through anything because I've got through some of the worst things already. You know, that kind of way?
Yeah. And I think rather than saying things fall in your lap easily, it's creating with intention. You
Mm.
know, I want this to happen, so I will aim for that and I will do everything it takes to get to there. And because no one is in your head, no one fully knows your journey. And on the outside, it looks like everything comes easy, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't think nothing comes easy to anyone. You know, maybe there are a few, but and I know exactly what you're saying. And you know, people just like, oh, she's so lucky. Oh, she always gets everything she wants. But no, she worked bloody hard for it. And
Yeah.
it's blood, sweat, and tears. But it's with intention rather than luck.
I love that. I love that it, like when phrasing that way with intention, and it kind of gets to a point where it's like, there's no way this can't work because I've done so much now to get here. Do you know that
Yeah.
kind of way? And
Yeah.
I've always kind of led with that. Like, you know, I've been a business owner since I left school, like over 20 years, and I know there's ups and downs. I know there's challenges. And something that I've learned actually is like with every challenge that I've gone through actually gives me a fire in my belly to overcome it. And like I'm not taking away the how hard it feels at the time, but it's like knowing that after that comes the breakthrough. After that is like when you can pull the lessons from that, you become a better business owner, a better leader, or a better whatever it is you do because of the challenges. You don't become a leader or the top of your industry by sailing through because you don't learn any lessons.
No, no. And do you ever find that when you're in a difficulty now, you can reflect on previously what you learned to help you navigate the now?
I would like to naturally say yes, but some things have repeated themselves, and it's taken that pattern show up a few times for me to be really like, okay, what is the lesson here? What do I keep allowing to happen? And it does come down to probably, oh, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out that lesson, but I actually went to this God, we're going all over the place there, but it's
As we knew we would.
like this medium. She's actually Irish, but we've done it online because I'm based in the UK. And we were talking about a situation I had gone through in my other business. And she was like, you need to find this lesson because this pattern has shown up so many times in different ways,
Hmm.
but in very similar things. She's like, you need to find out the lesson. And what I've come to when I've journaled on it, I think the lesson has always been to trust the process, that
Yeah.
the magic is actually in the process. Because this was for my theatre school when we were competing, and it's like everything is aimed against this one end product. And we got there, we got to the top of that, like we reached our goal, but the shit that came after that, I was not prepared for. And it's given me this lesson throughout life that it's not actually the goal. And you know, you hear that loads of time. It's the process, enjoy the journey. But I feel like I lived the lesson of not enjoying the journey, and that has changed how I approach business and life. It's just to enjoy the process of it more. Enjoy being a beginner. We're all beginners at something throughout. We're always learning, always evolving, and enjoy that part. And I always think as well, the parts of your business that are going really well, I think we should be celebrating that like a beginner because we start getting used to the sales coming in or the engagement on social media or whatever it is, and you forget what that felt like in the beginning stages. So
Yeah.
I always like try to remind myself to celebrate like the beginner I was when I would have done anything to have what I have now.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's so interesting. And you forget the things that you take for granted now that you didn't know then. And I mean, I remember when I was starting out, I'd done different types of websites, but for example, I'd never used WordPress.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was just like, and now I'm going in, I'm setting up pages, I'm doing all this. And it was just this morning actually, I thought, when did I suddenly know, to do this? But you're right about trusting the process because it can't just all be about that one win. after X amount of years, because what's the point? You
Yeah.
know, if that's all it is. And I love the way you've described that. And you just have to learn the lesson, because if you don't, and you're repeating it, it you're going to lose your motivation, aren't you? And it'll wound you too much in that you'll think, what's the point? So the celebration of the little wins are what's going to culminate in the big win. And to keep us going, keep us motivated, keep us fresh, you've got to surround yourself with the right people, the right situations to keep that all sort of um, stimulated. Because I think the very nature of running your own business, we are a different breed. It's another podcast, but I think we need that, don't we? We need that kind of adrenaline and whatever it is that drives us. Um, but anyway, back to the program. So let's go back to your business then. So what inspired you to start your business? Because you said you started very young, and how has your personal story shaped your brand?
So the first business I set up, I was like 17, 18, was theatre schools and dance classes. And I moved country that like 10 years ago, I've moved over to Wales. And I set up a business over here, two businesses over here, and lockdown happened then. And I was in a position where I was like realizing that they weren't actually businesses like they were, but I was just paying myself a wage. Like I didn't design it as a business. I basically created a job for myself. And I was so happy. I was in my bubble. I was doing all the things. But when I found the online space, something like lit up inside of me and really like was like, I have all these skills and all from running theater schools, like all the different tech side of it, creative side of all of those things. And I was like, some of this stuff that comes so easy to me, I'm seeing people like earn so much money from. That's what I want. And because I always had this like, I'm not a business owner. My friends would say, "Oh, she's an entrepreneur," and like she'd be so proud saying. And I used to like kind of cringe a bit, because I'm like, "No, I'm not. Like, don't say that," you know. And one thing like I know we'll probably get into a little bit more is about like how much as an online business owner, how much we have to trust ourselves, you know. And I think that has shaped my brand into trusting your weirdness, your creativity. Like, you know, I put out content that calls in the creative weirdos. Like, I'm like, are you a creative weirdo? Come on in, because we all are around here, and trusting those ideas. And a big part for me was like I'm piecing a lot together in real time right now, is that I used to have no fear about putting these wild ideas out there for other people's businesses. Like when I was social media manager, when I was head of digital, all these things, and I'd be like, this is insane, like this would be so good. And they were like delighted with it. And when it came to doing it for my business, I noticed I wasn't putting them out there. I was being safe, follow the strategy, fit in the box. You know, what I remember you had said, feel like you belong, like look like you belong. I was trying to look like I belonged. And it took me a long time to really shape and have the courage just to be bolder and bolder and bolder, you know. And I see a lot of times people say, fake it till you make it. And I feel like that's not right, because I feel like we have the skill already in the online space. Like you're taking the skill set you have, so you've already got it. It's not faking it, it's learning how to actually own that and communicate what you already know. I don't know if that answers the question.
No, no, I totally get it. And it's like it's safe to hide behind someone else's logo, but the
Mm,
minute it's your own identity, it's your own thing,
yeah,
and you're more vulnerable. If you get judged, it's a direct judgment of your thing, but it's okay if they judge the employer, because they made me do it. It's that.
yeah.
And I think many business owners can relate to that, because I've done the same myself.
Mm,
I have, but it's like, oh well, this is my thing, and that's that thing that they pay me to do, but I'm going to do it this way, because there's nowhere to hide, there's no one to point at, and it's all you. It's 100% you. So
yeah,
that vulnerability, not everybody experiences that raw vulnerability, except the weirdos like us that put ourselves out there. But I think it's a self-acceptance thing. You've got to, first of all, accept that you're going to do it. Spend some time in that space thinking, okay, I'm actually going to do it. And maybe not everybody does, but
mm,
then those that do, you've got to be all in, because you cannot do half of it. It has to be all in. And
Yeah.
that is exactly what you're describing. Once you're in, you got to go for it. And then you might get a taste of success. And then you think, haha, this is the goal. This is what it's like. And then I think then you carry it on. But I think those little steps, those early steps are when people give it up. It's too much. They feel too vulnerable. They don't want to show themselves. And they maybe don't reach that first sort of bit of success. And I think maybe that's when the business fall away. But that's hard. That's the hardest bit, putting yourself out there.
I think for that, if anybody is listening and in that moment right now, and I think it's important to look at, it's like, well, what makes it feel like a success? Like, are you looking outside for the validation? Because I think that was a big part. And if people aren't liking the content or you're not getting DMs or whatever it may be, even though you know it's leading into something bigger, you're waiting on that validation first. And it's like, no, you have to move first. You have to bring yourself back to why you set it up and, what the mission is, what the impact is, and getting so clear. And like, it's all the things people talk about, like your why, your values, your ideal client. These are so important, but I don't think people go into them deep enough to really understand and have that clarity because confidence and conviction comes from the clarity of that first. And I think people are a bit short on how deep they're going
Mhm.
into those foundations, first of all. But I think like really what inspired me then, and I feel like the inspiration has always been there. It's the impact that it has because the very, very first video I ever put out there, terrified, like, and this comes up quite a
Can't
lot.
imagine you terrified. I'm laughing and I don't want to invalidate your terror, but I'm just like, because you're just like, there's nothing you don't know, but you obviously had to go through that. So tell me about it.
So much. And it wasn't even for business. It was actually, I will get into it. Okay. So a bit of a trigger warning around infertility here, but I had been going through this not alone with my husband, but we hadn't told many other people. And I was fed up with people asking me, like, when are you gonna have a baby? When are you gonna have a baby? And I was just like, I can't just keep having this conversation. It's so raw, so vulnerable. I was like, I just want everyone to know that we're struggling. And I like just answer all the questions in one go. So I created a video. Like, what the hell? I don't even know how I got the courage. I had never really spoken on camera, a little bit, very little bit. But this video, I obviously spoke to my husband first and I spoke to my mom and they were like, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but we're on board, like, feel free because it's not just my story, it's his story too. And I created this video and the power that came from that video within me, like the healing, it helped me process things like so much, but also the impact it had on people listening and not even people just also going through a similar situation, people who knew other people who didn't know how to communicate with them. And this was like a 3 minute video. And I just remember feeling like something activated within me. And I feel like I've always created from that space, like always having that it's a deeper meaning. Like it's never been just a surface level, let's go viral. Like it's never really been my intention. And obviously, like it was nothing about my business. It wasn't even on my business page. It was on my personal page that I posted it. And I think that's the difference is that like people think with a theatre school background that I would like be on camera like so yay, let's go. But like I did not trust my own voice. Like I was terrified. And at every stage of business, like speaking to the camera, terrified. Going live, oh my God, terrified. And then when I finally got to the point of being paid to speak on stage, I had tears in my eyes. I was so terrified, like absolutely terrified. And I remember somebody said to me at that when I spoke on stage, not the first time, the second time, she had said to me, it was actually nice to see you a bit nervous because you come across so confident online. And that has stuck with me. That is like, I need to share my message loud and clear that this didn't just happen naturally. I've worked hard and it took a lot to overcome and keep flexing that muscle and practice and eventually get to the space where I'm like I don't I can just come on and talk. I have a message to share, even though I've always had the message to share. I didn't fully trust I was the person to share it.
Gosh, Audrey, what a story. That's just incredible. And I'm trying to imagine what that must have been like. That's such a raw thing to have done. And then, but what drove you to do it? just basically it's for everyone to say, just stop. This is
Stop.
it. This is it. Just stop.
Yeah.
And then, because I know you, I'm just thinking that must have taken some guts. And I know that everyone thinks, oh, it's really confident, but it's like the swan with the little legs and the gliding. And I love that just you said that because I don't think that there's anyone on the planet that can just rock up and not have that nerves. And everybody does. And you need that little bit of nerves to fuel you. And, there's some big players in our world and they're nervous. And when someone does that and says, oh, I'm really nervous, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then I'm listening for the clues, what do they do beforehand? What is it that fuels them? Because we need to hear that. We need to know what drives them, what soothes them, what motivates them. And, for you to tell that personal story, I didn't know that, Audrey, by the way. And I'm just like, oh,
It's
but
okay.
no, but thank you for sharing it because it's like, that it's not all about business, is it? It's about us as human beings. And then the business is a secondary thing. And, there's going to be people listening thinking, oh, wow. So not only is it hard to show up as a business, it's hard to show up as a human being when we've all got stuff going
Mm.
on in our day-to-day lives. And we come on to do the job. And there is a million and one things going on in everybody's lives. And that brings us to the online space. People can be bloody mean, really mean, and everyone's afraid of being judged. And I always say to my clients and anybody that works with me, judge away, but you don't pay my bills. So I got to do what I got to do. And you can scroll on or you can unfollow. You've got loads of choices. You don't have to listen to me. So that vulnerability and that personal brand, it's not just about the business, it's about the human, what makes them tick, what moves them, what kind of person they are, what's going on in their lives. And that every stepping stone of that journey is what brings you to the here and now. And
Yeah.
it's not always about the business and, it's about the human.
No, and I think like something that I've always kind of led with is like we get to, yes, it's a personal brand and we need to share more of the human behind the brand, but we also get to share which parts. Like it's not a case of you have to go in and share like you argued with your husband last night or whatever it may be. I call them scenes, like pick scenes out of your life that help shape the person you are and what you're willing to share and anchor into them and it doesn't have to be everything. And I think that that can be a sticky point for people. Like I a lot of times people like say to me, I actually don't know what to say or what to share. I don't know what part is interested. And it's important to note that sometimes people want to be able to relate to you as well. It's not always about being inspirational. It's also being relatable too. And you may notice it when maybe you've followed somebody who was on their way up and you resonated and you related and you were on board. Like, because I've experienced this where I got to a point where it's like I actually don't relate to her anymore. Like she's too far gone now. Like, I don't find it as relatable. And I
Mhm.
also don't really find it inspirations. They're not doing anything bad. It's just where I'm at and where they're at. And yeah, so I think there's always a part of it that share the mundane, like share the day to day of what you're doing in your business. And that's going to build your personal brand alone just by sharing this is what I'm up to. This is what I'm doing for my business today, and taking people on that journey. Like we said, it's all about the journey and the more you can let people into that. And if you're listening to this, you probably are a creative as well because you probably attract creative people too. Take Creativity is something that a lot of creatives take for granted. And
Mhm.
it's a skill that you have that other people can look at and be like, how does she come up with these ideas? How is she doing that? That's your money maker. Like let people into that. Let people see your processes. Like, when we're saying take them in on the journey, but how you take an idea to execution, like show that process because that's what people want to see. It's highlighting your skill set, but it's also being an embodiment of your work. Like you're not trying to sound more polished, you're not trying to get the perfect hook. You're actually just living in the unique skill that you have.
Mhm. And yeah, I mean, for me, I just love creativity, and I describe myself as a creative. And I've seen you on your videos on the floor with your markers, and you're doing this, and I just think that's what people need to see because creativity manifests in so many different ways. For me, I'll be sat on my bed with digital notebook, paper, pen, laptop, iPad. I will have every every implement that you can think of. And because my brain fires off so many times, I have to be able to write different things down at
I
different,
love it.
different time. And then there'll be music going. And my family, oh, they're amazing. But I describe myself as, the mad professor in the basement. And then at the weekend, and I'll come out like looking for food. And if I was there, I should really film myself because it is madness.
Yeah. It's like letting people in. Like what a way for potential clients eyeing you up to see, is this the right person for me to invest in? And they see your process. They'll just be like, and they will resonate with that. They'd be like, yes, like, you have seen me do stuff like that and be like, yes, like Audrey is someone who I can connect with, that kind of way. So it's definitely share that. That's your challenge for your next reel.
Oh, it has to be, but I can never escape this image of the mad professor. But yeah, I mean, the creativity is just, it's such a gift, isn't it? And I never dispose of anything. I keep every note, every word, every, what do you call that, spider diagram, mind map, everything. It's all kept there. And then when you revisit it, you just think, oh, that idea wasn't right then, but it's going to be right now. So what advice would you give to someone who's at the beginning of their journey and they're listening to us talking about being a bit wacky, and they're thinking that they don't want to be visible, but they know they have to be? What advice would you give them?
I would say, okay, I did have a different answer for this, but I'm gonna change it in my head. I would say it's okay to do the parts that feel safe first. So I've actually released like this docu-series really telling the stories of how I started. And in that I'm talking about the very first group offer I put out there was in collaboration because I didn't have the balls to do it by myself, to be honest. I needed someone to do it with me. I reached out to somebody who I thought would be a good fit and we said, let's do this together. And we done it together the first time and we done it together on the second time and it went really, really well. And then we were planning to do it a third time and I had to say, no, I need to do this by myself now. Not that exact program. Like I was like, no, I need to go and by myself now. So I think my advice would be not that you have to go and collab to get started. That's not the advice. The advice is it's okay to start off with what feels safe. I think there's a lot of noise online, and I will say it as well. You need to feel the fear and do it. You need to declare what you're here to do and take the actions towards it. But I also think like it's okay to start with small steps, like just start, but it's okay to start with small steps. So that would be my advice for somebody new getting visible. And things that helped me with that was like actually just speaking out loud. Even if I used to record videos knowing that they would never go anywhere. Like I knew I was never posting it, but I would just record myself. Or even if I was just cooking dinner, I would just like practice like talking out loud because you have it all in your brain. And sometimes the problem is just like, what if I forget what to say? What if somebody asks me a question and I don't know what to answer? They're the kind of normal things that are coming up for people. So just practicing. If someone asked me this is what I would say. And yeah, I think it just comes down to practice and being okay with taking small steps because do you know what's weird for me, right? I was terrified. Obviously, I made that video about fertility and stuff, but when I start like coming on to stories and just chatting, I actually was terrified and then grew to love it. And I say that to my clients as well. I'm like, you're gonna start enjoying this. You're gonna well, once you start feeling comfortable, it's really enjoyable. It's like I don't know if I'm just the only one. Like Amanda, you're not, and you probably
No,
enjoy it.
you do, because you just think, oh, this will be really good, and then you'll do it. And people always say everything is content, and it is content. And when I was on your on one of your courses, what was it called again? What was it
Management mastery.
yeah, and we were always leaving voice messages, weren't we? And I can remember you did this sort of every couple of days. Well, I'm just here stirring the mince, but Amanda, if you do that.
And you know what I'm doing.
No, but it was so good. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm just doing the dinner, but yeah, Audrey, that's great. But the thing was, because we were so absorbed in what we were doing and the content that we were creating, and that's what I love about people in our world. Those things, that wasn't abnormal. It's just what we did.
I'm just stirring the milk. Like honestly, like some of this stuff is just hilarious. My friend, like one of my business friends, always says to me, like, "Are you boiling your eggs?" Because I seem to always say to her in the mornings when we're messaging, "I'm just boiling some eggs." don't know why I tell people that part. That's so funny that you said that.
But you know what? That's what I love because I'm not sat here in my plush London suite with my secretary. It does not get any more real than this. This is coming from my home, and it's not a studio. It's the same for you, and that's just what it's all about. We love what we do. We're so creative, and it's just real. And oh, we have the best fun along the way, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You said you start to enjoy it if you feel at the minute that you don't want to go visible, you may be feeling isolated and it can be lonely. And we were talking earlier about you need to surround yourself with good people, you need to surround yourself with positive people, creative people, and you also need someone that you can bounce ideas off. But it can be lonely at the start. So I would join good groups. You definitely do need good coaches. Find someone that can plug those gaps that you have. But over time that'll definitely grow. But I can honestly say I have had the best fun, since I started my business, and you will definitely find like-minded people because your family don't get it, your friends don't get it, although they want to. But really, you could pick up the phone to one of your business besties and you can say, well, I'm thinking of doing this thing. And it could be way out there. And your business bestie will go, well, yeah, well, if you add this, you add this. And that's the thing. But that's why you need good people in this world to kind of help you along.
Yeah, definitely. Like visibility is so important. It's the one thing that everybody needs to always do. Like we always need to be bringing in a new audience. And it's like I'm trying to like going back to like the very start. I was showing up on Instagram and I was on video, but it felt real robotic. And where I kind of got my break, if that's what you'd call it, was on TikTok. And I can work it out now that I went onto TikTok knowing none of my family or friends or whatever was going to see it. So I let my guard down and I was a lot more me and I was just a lot more documenting rather than creating content. It was like just very much chatty. And that went wild and that grew my confidence over there because I so it just comes back down to that fear of judgment. Like
Yeah.
the fear of judgment was removed. So then I was able to get comfortable and then I was able to bring that personality over to Instagram. And still now if my a couple of my aunties like follow me and it's lovely and supportive, but sometimes when I'm sharing something that might be like very niche I do be like, oh God, they're gonna be like, is she okay? But that's okay. Like it's learning to be okay with that because anyone who's not supportive of you, just remove them. Like unfollow, unblock them, mute them, whatever you need to do to get your business moving. Um, and just know, like, the real thing I want to take away about visibility is that it doesn't come easy for anybody. Like, it's not a natural thing to talk to your phone with nobody coming back. Actually, I'll share a quick story. When I got so used to being on camera and stories and Zoom rooms when everyone is on mute except for me talking, that the very first time I spoke on stage and I said a little joke because I'm hilarious, when I heard people laughing back, I got a bit of a fright because I'd been on Zoom for 2 years and like I wasn't getting back. So I was like, oh my God, this feels so weird to like actually get feedback.
Happen. Yeah, yeah.
No, like
Oh,
that should be the normal thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just about getting like just knowing that it's nothing wrong with you. Like it's actually all of us feel uncomfortable getting started, and it's just about pushing through that. And I always say the why, when the why is bigger than the fear. If you take my fertility story, I was terrified, but the why was so much stronger than the fear of someone judging me for that. And like, I mean, with a sensitive topic like that, if they were judging me, I'd be like, you're not my person anyway.
Yeah,
But when the why is bigger than the fear, you can do anything.
absolutely. And you know what? If you strip it back even further, for anybody to put themselves out there to do that, the only conclusion is, oh my God, that's really brave.
Yeah.
And any other comment is jealousy. It really is because you can't negatively judge someone for putting themselves out there. And over time, they're only going to get better. And it is really brave. And TikTok is, I describe it as the Wild West. It's mad over there.
I love
And
it.
And it's just I use it to kind of test myself a little bit and see what happens. But I'm more comfortable on Instagram, but I am sort of spreading my wings a little bit over TikTok because I know the visibility is it can be huge. But it's I can see why you would have felt comfortable over there because it's like another world. It is another world. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's it's extremely brave, and if people are judging you, you really do not want them in your world. So, do you have any rituals or confidence tricks before you get yourself pumped and out there?
Yeah, definitely music all the time. Music, put on a song, dance around and get into that zone. And that music will change all the time. Mostly musical theatre, and I'll literally think I'm on Broadway. And then I'm like, the Zoom call doesn't feel so scary now because I've just given a Broadway show in the kitchen. But also as well, at times where I'm doubting myself, I will I'll watch maybe a training from somebody I've worked with that, really inspired me. So I will go back to a place where I felt inspired previously and kind of tap back into that. Or maybe it's like if someone's inspiration, maybe I just need to go onto their social media page and watch about their content and be like, I'm just so inspired by you. Like, let's go. The mission is clear again, that kind of way. So music definitely to get me in a good state of confidence. And then when it comes to like more inspirational or if I'm doubting myself, I will plug back into something that inspires me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And if you're not feeling great and you turn the camera on, you're not going to perform either. So you definitely need something to kind of power up the engine a little bit. No, that is really good advice. So, Audrey, we're almost at the end. Oh, and you know what? I always know it's a good one when I forget I'm recording and I'm leaning in going, oh.
I
So,
also, I just want to give one more thing that I always say, just following on what you've said when you first turn the camera on and you get going. I do have a rule for myself when I'm creating video content is that I will never just create one video. Like it's just not happening. It's a rule because that first video, yeah, you can use it, it can go out. But once you're warmed up, it might take you however long. Don't use this number as a frame that you should be following. But if it takes you 10 minutes to record a video, the next one will take 5 minutes. The next one will take 3 minutes. And there you in that, like, say 20 minutes, you can get three videos done. Where if it's taking you 10 minutes, like each time, that's terrible maths. But you know what I mean? You
yeah,
get
yeah,
so much more done
yeah.
if you do that. So I always kind of give a little rule, even if it is only two, if I only got time to record two, I will get two done. And I have one to go and one saved. And that's how you can start building up that bulk of content to go out then.
Yeah, and keep all your outtakes of when you got it wrong. And you don't ever have to use them, but there will come a time where you want to show your journey and you want to say, oh, well, when I was doing this, that this is what and I love that because when you arrive on at someone new and you think, oh, they're polished, they're doing but they weren't always like that. And I think it's so brave to show yourself from early on. And like my podcast, I keep all my early episodes. And I will keep them there, but even though I cringe inside, because I didn't start a podcast being an expert podcaster, and I'm not an expert podcaster now, but I know a bit more what I'm doing. But I always keep the early stuff because you've always got to show your journey, and none of us are perfect, and everyone learns every day. But when people do their sort of outtakes of their videos, it just cracks me up because I just think it's so what's the word I'm looking for? You've got no words or graces, have you? Just like, yeah, this is me, and I'm better now, but yeah, wasn't I funny?
Like so many things. I share mine quite a lot. Like one of the first videos is like it's my voice is different. I'm like, hey everybody, I just want like so timid, so soft, and like me, like I'm like quite loud, quite like expressionate with my hands, and I'm like that is not me. And then actually the first few Instagram stories, I didn't realize at the time, but when I looked back on my archive in the dark, filters on, like I was actually like just so hiding, but like trying to come out, but like still hiding. And it's just like, oh, like I just want to hug her, like, because she took it, and I really think that's the message home is that if I can do it, anyone can. And I really want to get across how difficult and how much I kind of had to overcome in my own mind to get to where I got to.
And that's the key. Just watch people, learn what you can. People always have stuff to teach, and from me working with you. I was trained to read the news, so
Yeah,
it's,
that's the hardest.
having to take shake off all that formality, and that doesn't work on social media. And I speak with my hands, so I try to move as much as possible. I try to be as chatty as possible. And early on in my podcast days, I used to edit out all the ums and ahs because I thought I had to speak, perfectly. But now I just turn up as myself. I speak. I don't script. I just speak. But all those things, it doesn't matter. But I really had to unlearn so much of my corporate behavior. And you know what? I probably will always have to be consciously not doing those things because it was so ingrained and I've done it for so many years. But that's just part of my journey. And, I'm more comfortable talking to other people than I am sat talking to myself. But you're absolutely right. Sort of do the bad content, do what you can, try and be as creative as you can, and just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. So amazing, Audrey. So where can we find out more about you online?
The best place to find me is on Instagram, Audrey underscore the social coach. And I'm on TikTok as well, but if you want to swing into Instagram for a DM, I'm more than happy to chat or let me know that you've listened. Yeah, I'd love to connect you over on Instagram. TikTok is the same handle as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I will put those in the show notes. Audrey, it's been an absolute pleasure. I have loved chatting with you, and I'm so thrilled I got you on my podcast. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Talk to you soon.